We are live. We are live. Welcome Friday night. What's up, everyone? Hopefully you can hear me okay. Can you guys hear the guitar? What's happening? Jersey Red, evening, folks. Rusty, my friend. Thanks for being here. Jay, what's up? HH, happy Friday. Back at you. James from Syracuse. Good to see you. All right. Elias, what's up? Happy Guitar Friday. Love it. Steven NH, what's going on, my friend? TC in Florida. Back for some more guitar trickery. I love it. Welcome, sir. Thank you. Nikki the dog, what's up? Good to see you. Danny Ryan, good Friday evening to all. Excellent. RIP David Crosby. Yes. Another week, another tough loss in the music world indeed. Jim Gregory, what's up? Friday greetings back at ya. Russ, what's going on? Just checking out scale patterns for beginners shown below. A good brush up. Thanks. Excellent. Good stuff. What do we got here? Glenn, what's going on? Good to see you. It's for you. You have snow. Well, we do not have snow here in Nashville, luckily. It cooled off a little bit, but we were having spring-like temperatures over the last couple of weeks. But it's cooled off. All right. Paul, what's going on? Good to see you. Excellent. Well, welcome in, everybody. Zane, welcome. Good to see you. As with every Friday around this time, we go live for an hour. Each Friday, I switch it up. So I've got a electric this week. We'll do acoustic next week and alternate between the two. Tonight's a general guitar workout. Oh, Doug's working in Denver, but he's here on the break. I love it. Excellent. Yes, and TC with the Crosby tuning. There you go. EBDGAD. Very interesting. Interesting stuff. We might be due for another alternate tuning session coming up, maybe. I think we did one in the last year, though, that ended up being a three-parter, but it might have been over a year ago now. Not sure. I'll have to look into that, and maybe if it's been a year, we'll do another alternate tuning session on Friday here. Larry, what's up? It's going good. I hope it's going good with you. Happy Friday back at you. Theodore, good to see you. For those just joining for the first time who do not know, expand the description below the video. And we have a PDF file of the tabs that we go through each and every Friday. Tonight's no exception. Laura, what's up? Hello, hello. Welcome. Brian, what's going on? Well, we got a first timer. Yes. So we're going to go through some tabs, some beginner intermediate type stuff, hopefully. So yeah, expand the description below the video. You see a link to a PDF file that you can download. Gerald, what's up? Evans, Georgia. I love it. Good to see you, Jake99. What's going on? All right. I'm debuting this parts caster, my P90 silver do-it-yourself paint job. That's not so great, but I kind of dig it. DIY style. P90 guitar, right? Those of you who don't know, P90 pickups sort of look like the soap bar kind of style. And they're somewhere in between, you know, the Strat guitars have the single coil pickups, which are kind of a distinct sort of sound. And then you've got like full humbucker pickups, which are the double coils, which give you a fatter sound. And the P90s kind of are somewhere in between that. So I wanted a guitar with it. So kind of digging this one. We'll see how it sounds over the stream. Hopefully you can hear it. Hopefully sounds all right. Let's see. These P90s are the Mojo Tone. I think they're called the Quiet Coils. So Nikki the dog's got the Fat Cats. Those are the Duncans. Excellent. HH says, just started recording myself playing. Tough, but in a good way to improve. Wishful thinking. Yes, no, absolutely. you'll hear things that you do not necessarily hear as you're playing. Okay, so highly recommended. Nice little tip there from HH. If you kind of want to get constructive about where your playing is, record yourself, see how it sounds. Haven, what's up? Do not have an electric guitar yet. My apologies. Do not apologize. So what I was going to say to some of the newer people, even though I'm on an electric tonight, a lot of the things that we're going to go over can be directly applied to an acoustic guitar, and vice versa when I'm on the acoustic, alternating every Friday. So just see what you can do with it all. There might be a little bit of bending going on tonight on the electric, but which is a little tougher on acoustic. But other than that, everything should be transferable. All right. Laura watching Jeff Beck with Tal Wilkenfeld. What a lineup that was. And that was Vinny Caliuta on drums. Just an incredible band. So yeah, I think Jeff Beck had a couple strats with the upside down headstocks. What's up, Glenn B? King 50, North Nevada. Awesome. Jody 1. Yes, Robbie Bachman, RIP. Indeed, another loss. Crazy. Doug Smith. Love the P90s in his Ibanez. Excellent. All right. Let's start it off as we always do with the guitar workout. Exercise one will be more of just a warm up a little bit. And yes, we were talking about David Crosby as well. Peter, what's up? Welcome. Good to see you on another Friday session. Thanks for making it. I usually start these sort of chromatic, getting every finger going kind of exercise around the 4th fret. So your index finger is around the 4th fret, just so that it's not maybe as big as a stretch as it might be down on the 1st fret. Although eventually it's nice to be able to get down there and work on that, get your stretch going. But I'll start it up the neck a little bit just to make it a little easier for you absolute beginners out there. If you'll see on the low string, I'm doing one finger at a time, 4th fret, 5th fret, 6th fret, 7th fret. I'm going to go down, up, with every pick. It's called alternate picking, down, up, down, up, down, up. You want to continue that all through this exercise, okay, and really try to build that in so that it's an automatic thing that you can do, alternate picking. And so it sort of acts as a default for any kind of picking you do. Of course, it's not the only, it doesn't always make sense depending on what you're doing musically, but for most things, it is a, very useful utility to have. Doug Smith, Mike, how many guitars do you have? What have we got? 4 on the back rack. This makes 5. I've got a couple more up top that you can't see on the camera. And so that's what, 8. And then I've got another handful inside the house. Dozen. Got a dozen guitars here, but I also shoot in LA, and I've got 3 guitars in LA, and I'm from Canada, and I still have some stuff in Canada. So I've got a lot. Somewhat embarrassing, but hey, it's my career, right? Got to have them. 425. I love it. There you go. That would be amazing. 425. I like that. Mark, does the wife know? Yes. Very aware. All right. Yes. So we're going to go 4, 5, 6, 7. Those are the frets. Index finger starting, middle, ring, pinky, down, up picking. But notice when we go to the next string, the A string, I'm going to start on 7 and come down. Okay. And then when I get to the D string, I'm going to go back up. G string, I'm going to come back down. B string, go up. High E string, come down. So we're alternating. We're ascending and then descending as we go up the strings, right? So. Okay. So we want to kind of do that and have some steady timing. If you want to throw on a metronome, go for it. always recommend working with a metronome at some point in your practice, just to keep you honest, right? So let's do it. And then as you'll see, when we get to the top, we're going to go. You're going to move up 1 fret, but then start with the descending one. And then as we come down the strings, then alternate. So the B string is going to go ascending, G string descend, D string ascend, A string descend, and lower string ascend. And then you move it up a fret and repeat it. Okay, so we'll do this a couple times just to get the picking going, the fingers going, all that kind of stuff. Yes, Boris the Spider style. I love it. The Who. All right. Maybe I'll count it off because we have it denoted here. I've got it transcribed in 16th notes. So 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and and so on and so on. We can do this for anywhere from 2 or 3 minutes, something like that. Okay, it's just a great way to get going on the guitar. All right, Doug, Mike, with the electric guitar, I want to ask this question about muting. Do you use muting with the right hand, muting with the left hand, combination of things depending on the type of the songs? Yes to all. Okay, so muting is a tricky one to teach because it's always changing depending on what you are doing. All right, so we have little tips and tricks that you pick up along the way to keep the strings from ringing out, and it always depends just on what you're doing. So in this first example, we're starting with the low string, okay? And as I come up the strings, I'm dragging the palm of my hand down onto the lower strings to keep them from ringing out, okay? You know, another thing you could do is if you have your hand a little more with the karate chop towards the bridge, you could do that as well. And then just sort of rest down on the bridge as you kind of move this up and down, okay? So that's probably the most sort of dominant muting that you would do in an example like this, but it always changes. It depends on certain things. So what I'll do as we go through the examples tonight, the exercises, I'll sort of alert you to some of the things to think about when you're playing chords or you're playing certain types of riffs or certain types of licks that will help you keep it clean, all right? Exercise 1B, a B minor scale. And I just wanted to show you how powerful it is to think about a sort of a cluster of a scale pattern that you can kind of anchor to the root note and move all over the neck. That's the idea behind this example. So, there's a ton of different ways to learn scales, and I always recommend all of them because they all come in handy in different situations. A lot of times you learn the caged 5 patterns, right? Where they're positional patterns. You might learn 3-note per string patterns. And another good way to think of scales is just like a little chunk of 3 strings, because you've only got 7 notes, right? 8 notes with the octave. So for example, B minor, I'm going to start on the 2nd fret of the A string. Okay. So those are the notes. Those are 8 notes. From root to the octave, okay? Now think about that pattern. Now what I do is you can see halfway through this bar, I'm going to a position shift. I end up with the B note, 4th fret of the G, and now I'm going to position shift so that that becomes my index finger, and I'm going to play that note again. Okay. And play the next octave of the exact same pattern of the scale. Okay, so I'm basically transplanting this sort of mini pattern, right? 2nd fret, 4th fret, 5th fret on the A and D, and then 2nd and 4th on the G. Okay, I'm going to move it over now, start with the root an octave higher, and play the exact same pattern. Now it's a little bit different because the B string is tuned flat, so you have to account for that. So after I play the notes on the G strings, G string, I have to move up 1 fret. 5, 7, 8, 5, 7 on the high string. Okay, to finish off that pattern. So when you put the whole thing together, so what I want you to just be aware of is the root note is always sort of your anchor point. Okay, so if you know where all the B notes are on the fretboard, you can take this pattern and just move it everywhere, right? So as I do in the next couple bars, you'll see that. So for example, now I'm going to start on the 7th fret of the low string, okay? Same pattern, only it's sort of transplanted now onto the lower 3 strings, 7, 9, 10, 7, 9, 10, 7, 9, right? Okay, now I can position shift again. Okay, now I've got 9, 11, 12, right? And then because of the B string, it's going to be 10 and 12 on the B to finish it off. Okay, so. And then in the final bar of this, I'm just basically playing the first bar, but an octave higher, okay? Makes sense? So I've taken a chunk of a scale and played it in all these different spots on the neck. Now, it doesn't have to be a scale pattern. It could be a melody, right? It could be a lick. Just adapt it, move it around and try it in all different spots, different octaves, right? And this is sort of how you gain a little more understanding on the fretboard, okay? And it's also just almost like a fast track to kind of moving stuff around the neck, right? And, you know, just kind of getting better at it, right? That's the idea behind exercise 1B. And it makes for a great warm up too. So if you keep your down up picking going, because also what happens is you've got 3 notes per string on a lot of this. Sometimes you've got 5 notes per string. So you're going to be crossing strings on an upstroke. So that's great practice too, to just keep the down, up, down, up, down, ups going all through these exercises. Okay. You with me? All right. Let's see, Jake 99. Any tips keeping fingers close to the strings, not flying away from the fretboard? Yeah. Just be intentional about it. It is worthwhile exercise. Once you've got an exercise like this or a riff or something that you're working on, once you've sort of got the idea of it under your fingers, then you take a couple passes of it, just focusing on your fingers, staying close to the fretboard. It's just about being intentional about it and doing enough repetition of it that you don't have to think about it, right? So even an exercise like this, I might have run through this exercise maybe 3 or 4 times to get familiar with it. And now it's like, okay, I feel like I got a handle on it. Why don't I try and just keep my fingers as close as I can to the fretboard, okay? So what if I just hover them right here? Right? So there you go, something like that. Just be intentional about it, okay? HH, thank you. Russ, a light bulb moment. I love it. Love those light bulb moments. Paul, how do I go from playing scales to using them? Loaded question. How you go from playing them to using them, you sort of need to see it in action, right? Like, what you need to do is learn as many songs as you can. And beyond that, take parts from those songs and figure out what scale, whether it's a riff, a melody, a lick, figure out what scale it came from. And then you're seeing it in action. You're seeing how to use that kind of thing, right? So that's number one. Learn lots of songs, because that's how you see somebody, a guitar player, applying this. Number two, here's another thing. Use a scale, okay? Sequences, all right? Check out Rock. I believe I don't know if it's level 1 or level 2, Anders class, or do a search on sequences, okay? So there are ways to play scales that are a little more musical rather than just going up and down a scale. So for example, and I've talked a lot about this in certain exercises over these sessions, but just as an example, a group of 3, okay? Maybe something like that. Something like that, okay? It's a combination of knowing licks that come from the scales and also knowing how to play runs, whether you go fast up and down, just up the scale, down the scale, or using a sequence like that, just in a little chunk, and just mixing and matching all these ideas, okay? And obviously there's a lot more to it, but that's sort of a short answer of maybe some examples on how to use them rather than just play through them up and down, all right? JD, the spider exercises really helped. Excellent. Love it. Doug, take care. Thanks for dropping in. All right. Exercise 2. Let's get to some strumming. Okay. And we haven't done this, I don't think, a 12/8 groove. Okay. Which isn't that much different than a 6/8. It's just that you're subdividing the bar into 12 equal subdivisions, and we notate those with eighth notes. Okay, so you'll actually see the way that this is notated. You've got groups of 3. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So once again, a 12/8 or a 6/8 feel has that triplet thing going on. It's the da 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 da. Okay, so that's the first thing. Let's look at the first chord, G major. Okay, I'm doing the G major bar chord, but just the top 4 strings. So the 5th fret of the D, 4th fret of the G, and then barring down the 3rd fret of the top. Donna, what's up? Good to see you. I hope you're well. Thanks for dropping in. Okay, G major. And we're going to stay on this for the whole first bar. And I'm going to strum right on those beats, 12 subdivisions for the whole bar. So it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay. Now, a little bit of intricacies with the notation. The first thing is that there's a dot on top of each rhythmic stem on the music part of the, above the tab, right? And what that means is staccato, okay? So, with staccato, you don't want those chords to ring into the next. You want to strum and then cut it off, like right after you strum it, like that. Now, what I'm doing is I'm just lifting my fingers off the fretboard, but not the strings, okay? Now you can also, so that's the muting that's happening, is it's all with the left hand because there's no open strings, right? So the fingers are popping off the frets, but not the strings, okay? Oh, Donna, get well. Get well. Thanks for joining. But sorry, you're not feeling well. Okay. So the next thing is that I've got an accent on the 4th beat and the 10th beat. Okay. So I'm going to dig into that strum a little bit harder. So 1, 2, 3, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Sort of like the backbeat, right? It might be where the snare hits, and in a 12/8 time signature, that's kind of where the backbeat is. So that's a really common thing to do. So if I put it together and add a little tempo to it, it's going to sound like this. Okay. A little bit of an R&B kind of approach here in 12/8. Where do I find the tabs? Expand the description below the video and look for a link. It's get the tabs here. And there should be a link and a PDF will come up for you. Okay, so expand the description below the video. So we're starting on a G chord. Heading up to an A minor chord, 7th fret of the D string, barring down on the 5th fret of the top 3 strings. Same rhythm. Next bar, we're going to go up to B minor, so the same shape up 2 frets, but halfway through the bar, I'm going to come back to A minor. So that's going to sound like... Okay, and then the last bar is E minor 7, so I've got a bar going from the 7th fret of the A all the way up, adding the 9th fret of the D, 8th fret of the B. Same rhythm. So if I put it all together, you get this R&B chord progression with sort of this staccato strum groove. Okay. So a little bit of strum practice there, 12/8. I don't think we've really covered anything in 12/8 before on the session. So first time for everything, right? Are you with me? All right, exercise 3. I'm going to throw in some slides. This is a pretty cool, it's kind of like a lick. When you slow it down a little bit, it's pretty cool, and just something to kind of work on sliding into notes a little bit. We're using E major pentatonic for this. And I'm going to play through this, and then we'll talk about it in a bit. So it goes like this. A little bit slower, goes like this. Okay. So we are going to play off this E major chord right here, 7th fret of the A string, 9th fret of the D, G, and B. And I add in the low E string here. I think I hit it first and then the chord. Now we're going to go up and slide up to different notes. And it actually works out that we're sliding in to a note in E major pentatonic and then sort of landing on a note in the chord, in the E chord. Okay, so the first one sliding into the 11th fret of the A and then grabbing the 9th fret of the D string. Now look, if you look under the 9th fret of the D string on the staff, you'll see we've got another dot under the note, which means staccato. So we're cutting it off. We're not going to let that ring out. What's up, James? Thanks for joining. No worries. Glad you made it. Okay. Then we're going to do the same move, 11th fret of the D, sliding in, and then the 9th fret of the G. Okay. So let's look at this a little bit more. I'm sort of coming into the 11th fret of the A string, maybe roughly around 2 frets before it. It doesn't really matter so much because you're sliding through it. Okay. And then on the next string is that quick little pick on the next note and then cutting it off. Okay. Russ, I'll sort of outline the scale in just a little bit. Going to go through the parts here. What's up, Dave? Welcome. Okay, so I'm doing the first one, A string to the D string, and then the next one, same frets, this time D string to the G string. Okay, but then the next one is going to go on the G string 13, sliding in and then grabbing 12 on the B. Okay. Then we come back down. And then the last one, sliding to 9 on the low string, landing on 7 on the A string. So what we're sort of outlining here is E major pentatonic. Okay, we're actually sort of outlining that whole scale pattern. So if you were to go 7th fret here to 9, slide up to 11, and then 9 and 11 on the D, and then 9 on the G, that gives you 1 octave of E major pentatonic. So, okay, remember, the sound of E major pentatonic is My Girl, right? Okay. Okay. Now, we're going to use just the next part of that. Remember in the previous exercise, you've got like a little mini pattern right here. And now I'm ending up again on the octave. So you can do the same thing again. But it turns out we only go as far as the B note, 12th fret of the B string. If you did the whole pattern, it would go 12, 14, 12, right? Okay, so that's the E major pentatonic that we're using. And then you also want to know the notes that are sort of below the E note, 7th fret of the A. So you've got 9 and 7 on the low string. All right, you with me? So yes, E major pentatonic. What's up, John? Welcome. Yes, Crash Cannon. Print out the tabs before the session starts so you can follow along. Absolutely. Yeah, it should be able to come up in a different browser window and you should be able to print it if you've got a printer. All right. All right. So sliding exercise, right? Cool little riff. All right, let's look at some power chord strums. There's some straight ahead rhythms here. I'm starting on an F sharp power chord, 2nd fret of the low string, 4th fret of the A, 4th fret of the D. So this is the classic power chord shape. What we mean by power chord is that it is a root and a 5th. And why we have a 3rd note in this chord is that we're doubling up on the root with the octave of the root, right? So I've got F sharp, C sharp, and then another F sharp up the octave to thicken up that chord, right? Okay, so the tricky thing with this is that we have some rests in between. It works out pretty nicely because we're going to be changing chords in those spots. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and, okay? Never been a good counter as I play, but... Okay. All right. So, great thing about power chords is that they sound great with clean or with tons of overdrive, right? You can just crank up the distortion on them. They still sound really good. Nice and heavy, right? And you can move them around everywhere, okay? And start making riffs. As soon as you can make this shape, you can make up riffs, right? So we're starting with the F sharp and then going up 3 frets to the A, and then the same shape for an E power chord, 7th fret of the A, 9th fret of the D and G. Okay. little bit of an embellishment here where I'm barring down at the 7th fret of the A, D, and G string. And I'm pulling my fingers off those when they're on the 9th fret of the D and G, and just revealing the 7th fret of the D and G, which is a cool sort of in between sounding chord, which you could kind of add to all of these if you wanted to. Right? Now let's talk a little bit about muting. So what are we doing here? Okay. Karate chopper down the by the saddles of the bridge, okay? Right away, as soon as I hit those three. But I'm moving my fingers off that chord and moving it to the next chord in between. So, okay, so that's sort of it's both hands in tandem, right? Comes off the strings, comes off right there. Okay, so I think all of the muting in something like this has got to happen with the karate chop down by the bridge, okay? You can see it. Right? On the rest, do you mute by releasing the left hand? No, it's all the karate chopper, right, James? Okay, Rockin' Vita, that's an awesome guitar. Where does one find that? Yes, I did. This is a parts caster, so I did build it. As far as tuning stability, well, I just got it in my possession, finally put it together, so it seems to be pretty good. It does have a trem on it, even though I don't have the bar hooked up right now, so it kind of does, like so those tend to kind of go out a little bit more depending on, how much bar work you end up doing and that kind of thing. But so far, staying in tune really well. Laura, the karate chop is the bane of my existence. I get it for a while, then it's gone again. Yep. So it's just being intentional, lots of repetition on it, okay? And making it so that you don't think about it. But it does feel weird at first. Almost do like a little strum in there. Kind of thing. Okay. So just depends. It's kind of rock and roll to kind of add this sort of muted strum in there as well. Sometimes I use a sweater. Yeah. What do the guys do? They have that little hairband down here on the 1st fret. You do that too. Oh, I see. Accidentally, right? I like that. So exercise 4B, upbeat rhythm, still using power chords. Okay, I'm going to play through this and talk about this a little bit. This is sort of a little bit of a different rhythm. 1. Okay, it's almost kind of a ska thing, although it's not quite as fast. Ska might be a 1 and 2. This is more of a sort of mid-tempo kind of rock rhythm, so it's a little bit slower. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and okay. So I'm strumming on the upstrokes. I'm strumming on the ands in between the beats. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and okay. So I like the feel of it. I mean, if you wanted to, you could use downstrokes, but there's something about the upstroke that really feels natural for something like this. 1 and 2. Oh, sorry. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2. Okay. So in this case, I've got the 7th fret of the A, 9th fret of the D and G. Okay. I'm using an upstroke. So it's sort of important to have those upper strings muted. So you can see by the way my fingers are curled that this pinky right here has got some flesh on the B string And this index finger, I curl it to make sure that I've got some flesh on the high string. Now, you don't want to press too hard because you don't want to make those notes actually sound out. You just want to put a little bit of flesh on those upper strings so they don't ring out. Okay? And that way, with the upstroke, you're not hearing you're not hearing that. Okay? Now, in between, what I'm doing is sort of this downstroke karate chop. So I'm moving the pick away so that on the down motion, I don't want to strike the strings. I just want to rest that karate chop. See that? Right? So that's the idea with that. Now we're going down to D, down to A, and then up to E, okay? Last couple bars here are a little bit different. Gonna go to some open strings. So it's even more important that that karate chop happens because you don't want those open strings to ring out in between. And also I'm starting it with the downstroke on the first beat. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and, okay? So that's a nice little variation on this rhythm, is to hit the downbeat, first beat of the bar, with a downstroke strum. Same thing on the A chord. Now I'm going to the open A string, second fret of the D, G, and B. Okay, so just a little variation there. Really like that because, just throwing a little bit of a different contrast in just to give it a little more texture. Also, we've got a couple different strums that you can now use and apply to different chord progressions, right? So there you go. Exercise 4. Let's see. Jake 99, strumming by the bridge, I always hit my pinky in the volume knob of the Strat. Yes, the Strat volume knob can be a bane of your existence. That volume knob is right there. So it will get bumped sometimes. You just got to work around it somehow, right? Hi, Roller Discs, just subbed. Hi, everyone. What's up? Welcome. And John, yes, can we start over? Well, we'll have to replay it once we're finished here in another 20 minutes. You can replay it again from the top. For those of you just joining, expand the description below the video. There's a link to a PDF file with the tabs of what we're going through tonight. General electric guitar workout tonight. All right. Excellent. Triads, exercise 5. We love triads. We're going to play the first 2 bars and then we'll talk about it. Go something like this. Oh. Okay. Let's see. MA, palm muting like this with a Floyd Rose, not fun. Yeah, interesting. You kind of have to just adapt to whatever different kind of bridge tailpiece you've got. I mean, all guitars are different, but on the Floyd Rose, I actually find it comfortable once you get used to it because the saddles are really flat and smooth. And so you can kind of just aim for just being on top of those saddles a little bit with the Floyd. So just keep trying to work with it. I feel like once you sort of crack that nut a little bit, you'll be nice and used to it and it'll feel all right. Okay, so let's get back to these triads. First 2 bars of exercise 5. First one, I got 5th fret of the A, 5th fret of the D, 4th fret of the G. Now this is, we don't often kind of cover the triad shapes on the A, D, and G string, but sometimes they're pretty useful. You get sort of those lower sort of tones a little bit. This one has got the 5th on the bottom. The root is on the D string in the middle, and the major third is on the 4th fret. Major third is on the 4th fret of the G. Oh, I see. MA, my wrist keeps hitting the microtuners. Yeah, you might see my bang it out of tune a little bit. Yeah, so you just need to be intentional and work on just getting that karate chopper down by the saddles with enough clearance to not hit those fine tuners. Absolutely, totally get that. Keep with it. You'll do it. You'll get it. So yeah, G major. And the root's in the middle in this particular shape, and you'll recognize that shape as being plucked out of an entire G major bar chord root 6, right? Like the full bar chord shape. We're just playing that one. All right, so I'm in 4/4 time here, but I'm playing sort of a similar sort of a ballady, slow tempo. Now I've got an accent on the 3rd strum, which is the 2nd beat of the bar. 1 and 2 and. So on the 2nd beat, I'm kind of digging in a little bit. You'll see those accents on 2 and 4, right? Moving up. Okay, 9th fret of the A and D, 7th fret of the G. This is a B minor triad, once again coming out of the root 6 shape with the root on the D string in the middle. Okay? Moving down to A minor, 2 frets. Same thing. If that's the full chord, but I'm just grabbing 7th fret of the A and D, 5th fret of the G. Now, 9th fret of the A, but barring down to the 7th fret of the D and G. This is a D triad right here, but it's the major 3rd on the bottom, 5th, and the root is the high note. Okay? So, now I'm going to switch to the top 3 strings and play the same progression with some triad shapes. Whoops. Went to the wrong one. Okay, so we got some different shapes up here. The first one, 4th fret of the G, 3rd fret of the top 2 strings. That again comes out of the G major bar chord, but we're just playing the top 3 notes of that. Major 3rd, 5th, and the root is the high note. Next, playing the top 3 notes of a B minor, full B minor bar. But again, minor 3rd note, 5th, and the root is the top note. Same for A minor. Well, no, kept missing. I move up to this A minor shape, which is based, you recognize it from D minor, right? The D minor open shape, if you move that up. So that you've got the 5th on the bottom, that's the 9th fret of the G. The root is A, 10th fret of the B, and the minor 3rd, or the flat 3rd, is the 8th fret of the high string. And then, where we started on the G, same shape, but up in the 10th position gives you D major triad up there, okay? So one thing to kind of experiment with a little bit before we get to the next exercise is what if you have these triad shapes? What can you embellish here if you wanted to? Okay. So out of this shape with the pinky, I can embellish from the 4th to the 5th fret of the G string. Little hammer-on pull-off there. Move that shape up. If you play this B minor shape so that you've got your pinky free, right? With your first 3 fingers, you got your pinky. Same hammer-on pull-off, but on the 9th fret, back to the 7th. A minor, you can do that. And then on that D, the D triad, you got the pinky to do it on the G string and the D string. Okay, so. Something like that. Up top, same idea. Okay, it turns out that on this top shape, 5th fret on all top 3 strings works really well. The B minor is a little trickier. You might want to go with the pinky 10th fret, but definitely the 9th fret of the G, right? Now I go up to the A minor up here, and 8 to 10 on the high string. And then the same sort of embellishments on that D triad as well. Okay, so think about the notes surrounding those triads, and it's a great way to just spice it up a little bit. Exercise 6, some bending. Okay, so I'm going to play through a couple of these. These are very simple exercises, but really worthwhile, particularly if you feel like you need to work on your bending. So the first one, exercise 6, the first 2 bars, it goes like this. One more time. One more time. One more time. Okay, so B minor, okay? So we're going to use just notes from B minor pentatonic, or actually the full B minor scale. 7th fret of the B string. I start on the 7th fret, and then I'm going to push it up a half step bend. Back down, pulling off to 5. Now a half step bend is a semitone up. So if you were to fret that note, it's just 1 fret up is your target note. So a good way to practice this is listen to your target note and then bend up on the 7th fret. My target note's the 8th fret, but bend up on the 7th and try to match that pitch, and do that a bunch of times. Okay? And then eventually that lick is going to be pulling off to 5. Same thing here. Okay, 6th fret of the G. That's another half step bend. So again, check it on the 7th fret. Whoops. Okay, so you can hear when you're in tune. If you push it too high, like I was. Okay. And then end it off 7th fret of the D, going back to 4 on the G. Okay. Same idea in the last 2 bars. Okay, but this time we're doing full step bends. So the 10th fret of the B string, pulling off to 7. What's our target note? We're on the 10th fret of the B string. My target note is a full step, so that's 2 frets up. That's going to be the B note, 12th fret of the B. So okay, 9th fret of the G, your target note is 11 on the G. Okay, so I recommend this exercise. Do this a bunch of times. Also remember with bending, using my pinky or my ring finger, you want to have the other fingers help you push those strings up, right? Okay, I use my ring finger on the first one. I've got my index and my middle helping me control that and push it up. Okay, same thing here. And it ends off 7th fret of the G to the 9th fret of the D with vibrato. Okay, cool. Cool little licks. You could speed these up a little bit. Okay. Bending on the Floyd, not so good. Getting the telly. There you go. The one trick on the Floyd is you can tighten the springs, I think, a little bit. Oh, maybe not. Maybe depends on if you're floating or not. If you've got it like an EVH where you've decked it, you deck the Floyd so that all it can go is go down, then you can actually get some bends where it doesn't go out of tune. But yes, the telly will do it. All right. I'm running out of time. Exercise 7. Repeating licks. Okay. So somebody asked, how do I use these scales? This kind of thing is another piece of the puzzle. Okay. Especially little repeated ideas that you can sort of apply to any scale pattern. So what I'm using is D minor pentatonic. And my first one is just 4 notes. Okay. Now, if I go slow, G string, 10th fret, hammering on to 12, pulling off to 10. And then the next group of 3 is the 12th fret of the D, pulling off to 10 and hammering back on to 12. And just, this is set up to repeat, right? These are groups of triplets. And you're only doing 1 pick per string, okay? Next bar. Now I'm doing the exact same repeatable idea, except I've applied it to a different string set. And then you have to think about what the pattern is, right? So I'm playing out of D minor pentatonic box, right? So I have to change the note on the notes on the B string to 10 and 13 to make it fit with the scale. Okay. And then you can apply it everywhere, right? Okay, just little ideas that when you combine your like sort of sequences with repeatable licks and other licks that you know, and just sort of stringing these things together, this is how you come up with how to use the scale patterns, right? Those are the first 2 bars. Third bar, the classic, right? Oops. Now, this is a group of 5, so it's a little bit weird. You'll see it notated with 5:2, which means in the time of 2 quarter notes, I'm going to play 5 notes, okay? But basically, just think of these 5 notes as like one complete idea that you can repeat over and over, right? So if you put a bunch of them together, right? So we're bending up 12th fret of the G, and then I'm barring down 10 on the B, 10 on the high string, and then pulling off 13 to 10 on the B. And then just repeating that. And so this is just a classic, you know, blues rock sort of classic lick that. Okay. Classic building block. And the final sort of one, just adding some bends on all of this. This is sort of a strange kind of woman. I love it. A little bit of Blackmore, or it could be a little bit of Stevie Ray Vaughan, particularly this 4th bar. Okay, bending at the 12th fret, full step up. Again, 10 on the B, 10 on the high string, and then bending 13 on the B string, a full step up. but then coming down 10 on the high, 10 on the B, and repeating that. Okay. Fun stuff, I hope. All right. So what is a Floyd Rose? Yes, we've been chiming in on the comments. It's a different whammy bar kind of bridge where you actually lock the nut, and it's got fine tuners on the bottom. So it's a way to just go crazy with the bar and stay in tune. But they're a little finicky, and they're a little bit of a different thing. Okay. Let's see. Thomas is 1 month in, way over my head, but pretty cool. Let's see what a couple of years will do. Yes, absolutely. And I appreciate you hanging on here. Hopefully there were maybe a few things that maybe got in there. And as you're working through some of the guitar tricks courses or whatever you're working on, hopefully some of these things will connect. Okay. So keep with it. All right. And Crash Cannon +1 with you right there. Okay. Excellent. Thanks for chiming in on the comments, everyone. Finally, I didn't really get to this, but the last exercise, a blues riff. All right, so go for it. Watch the video. Using some double stops, and remember, shuffle groove, okay, for the blues. This is a cool one because the low string, you're going to add some palm muting, right? Double stop here, 2nd fret of the G to the open G and B strings. 3rd fret of the low string, bluesy bend, hitting the higher E note, 2nd fret of the D, okay? And then just basically moving that up. And then my turnaround, I changed it just a little bit. Instead of, I went 7 to 9 on the D string on that, same thing on the A, and then a little turnaround. Okay, I actually ripped that off from LaGrange, right? I just transplanted it up so that it worked with E. And then a B7 at the end. All right? All right. The cough is coming, so let's get some water. All right. Appreciate you all hanging out for the hour and a little bit of change. I appreciate you joining each and every week. For those of you that just joined in for the first time, I hope you keep coming back, same time every Friday. It's what we kind of do here, and always bring questions. Always love the lively comment section. So that is awesome. Thanks to all of you for always engaging on that. James, thank you. Zane, thanks. Laura, well, sorry, Laura, TC. Guitar sounds great. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with it. Jim, these are Mojo Tone Quiet Coil P90s. Theodore, thank you. High roller discs. How many teachers are there on Guitar Tricks? How do I see more of your videos? I do a lot of song tutorials on Guitar Tricks. So if you go to the song list, you'll see me come up in a lot of those. Okay. We have other instructors that do more of the curriculum stuff. Thank you, HH. Stick with it. Love it. Danny, thank you. Nikki the dog, thank you. Laura, thank you. Robin, thanks so much. JD, guitar setup question. If notes pull sharp at the 1st and 2nd frets, does that mean the nut will need to be filed down a little? It possibly, it does sound that way. If it feels like the action is really high up by the nut, then probably you're going to need to file that nut down a little bit. And especially if the intonation's good everywhere else, that's probably your problem, is the nut. So I don't know whether or not you want to invest in some nut files and try it yourself with some YouTube videos, or take it somewhere. An experienced guitar tech can do a really good job of that kind of stuff. There you go. Crash Cannon, love it. Thank you. MA, thank you. More muting. We will continue to focus on muting Nikki, the dog, as we go through these sessions. Yeah, we will do that. King 50, thank you. Robin, keep at it. Dennis, thank you. Libra Atlas, thank you. Larry, thanks so much. Have a great weekend back at you. Gerald, thanks so much. TC, thanks. Russ, appreciate it. You're too kind. Thanks, Jim Gregory. Thank you, JD. Eric, you're a Celentano student and love my work too. Oh, well, I'll love to hear it. Thank you. Appreciate that. 210 GarageBand likes it. Excellent. Rusty, turn that around. Turn that kind of thinking around, man. Let's start building on it, man. Let's start getting some, like just kind of getting into the journey of it, and each step of the way, anything that you can pick up is a win. Okay. So just keep focusing on that. All right. All right, everybody. Appreciate it. Thanks so much. Take care. We'll see you in a week. Have a great weekend. Have a great next week. See you, everybody. Cheers. See ya.